For me, my own field, I'll use my field as an example. What I do every day, if my expertise is needed as a business intelligence specialist, I first ask this thing, can you do it in Excel? If it's possible in Excel, I'll gladly use Excel for you. And even in Excel, I'll ask, is it possible? Can I just get a formula for you that will do this, even if it means that I'll have to get some EPA columns? Yes, if it's possible, I will gladly do that. But if it will not be possible, then I'll be looking at writing VBA codes. Maybe you want to clean, then using Power Query. But the first thing that comes to my mind is, can this be done with Excel formula? The simpler the solution, the better and the more comfortable for your user. That's just the truth. That is one thing I've realized in my professional journey so far. So as a solution provider, first look at the easiest solution closest to you. So then we move forward. Design thinking. What is design thinking? Design thinking is a user-centered and creative approach to solving. Okay, excuse me, before we move forward, is Janet on the call now? AY.
Yes, she's currently using Tech Mentor. Yeah.
Okay, Janet, you're welcome.
Thank you. Sorry, network has really been bad on my end.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sorry. So, please, can you start recording?
Sorry?
I said, can you start recording?
Yeah, it's been recorded.
Oh, it's okay. No problem. So, let's move forward. Sorry, please, 1 second. Now, what is design thinking? Design thinking is, like I said, a user-centered and creative approach to solving complex problems with one goal. And the goal is delivering innovative solutions that truly meet the use of your users. The most important thing here, or the most important keyword here, is the user. Meet the needs of your user. So the process actually involves 3 components. In design thinking, 3 components are attached to the whole concept of design thinking. And the first component is user, the user needs. The first step in applying design thinking is to deeply understand the needs, desires, and pain point of your users. This could maybe involve, in fact, it involves empathizing with them and gaining insight into the challenges they face. So by truly understanding your users' lives, you can identify opportunities and create solutions that address the specific problem they are facing. Let's say, for example, you are tasked with designing a water system for a local community that does not have water. Maybe typically you would have just gone, maybe do a feasibility study, perhaps for a borehole system, and you dig a borehole. Now, design thinking is now telling you that it's a wrong approach. What you've done there is to impose your solution on your user. The first step in solving a problem is to first understand what your user needs. So in the context of a local community that I mentioned, as a design thinking solution provider, the first thing I would do is to understand their daily routines. How much water do they use on a daily basis? What do they use the water for? Do I need to dig a new borehole? Can I give them orientation on how to reduce their water usage level so that the water problem could be solved? You know, those are things I would do. And the best way to do it is to empathize with them, put myself in their shoe, by understanding their daily routines, and I would even go as far as understanding the cultural preferences they might have. I know there are communities that maybe they don't use a type of water, or maybe they prefer to even go to the river, or they have a cultural or religious they have a cultural or religious okay, perhaps they have a cultural or religious bias against some type of water and stuff like that. So that's what, for me, I'll first understand before uh, developing any solution for the community. And then with design thinking, you will be sure that any solution that you develop is relevant and meaningful to the people that are using it. Now, the second component of design thinking is market viability. What is market viability? You need to consider you need to consider the size of the market you are solving for and the potential for your solution to succeed. So the solution you are bringing to the market, is it sustainable? Is it usable for them? Like I said at the introduction, it's one thing for you to come up with a solution, very innovative solution. It's another thing for that particular solution to be useful for your users. So it is at this component you evaluate the market viability of whatever solution you are bringing in. So let's say, for example, you are designing a water system for a local community, and designing a water system as a project, we have different requirements compared to, say, you want to create a logistics system for farmers to distribute their product, or maybe you want to provide solar street light. Those projects have different requirements, have different viability depending on the community and depending on the local context. So once you identify your user needs, what exactly do they need? Of which, as we move forward, I will show you how to determine with a level of certainty how to understand the user need. The next thing is market viability. During your pitching program that day, if you could remember, some of you that presented, I kept asking you, what is the business behind this product you are bringing in? That is what market viability talks about. So what is the assurance that when you get this solution to the market, it's going to be accepted by the users and it's going to be useful for them? Then the third leg of the component is technical possibilities. Of course, we know technology plays a crucial role in modern problem solving. In the current age that we are, technology has become indispensable, and we're increasingly reliant on it to develop efficient and innovative solutions. So when applying design thinking, you need to consider how technology can enable your solution. Let's say, for example, you are creating an agricultural distribution system or designing a new healthcare service. Of course, at that point, you know that integrating the right technology can help you maybe enhance the functionality, increase efficiency, and make the solution more accessible. So now, these three components actually work together. But at the core of the three components is the user needs, just like I mentioned earlier. The most important thing here, the most important factor is the need of your users. So, but when applying design thinking, you consider first your user need, market viability, and technical possibilities. So design thinking brings together these three essential components: user needs, business viability, and technological possibilities, to create solutions that are not only innovative, but remember, desirable, feasible, and viable. So, and a lot of studies have proven that companies that adopt design thinking have over 200% business success, more than their counterpart that have not started using design thinking. So that takes us to the next part of this workshop, which is who are the companies that use design thinking? I've mentioned that companies that use design thinking have over 200% more success. So who are those companies? So we just take a look at few of them, not all of them. So the first one we'll be looking at is P&G, Procter and Gamble. For many of us, especially in Nigeria, where it's an household name for us. I don't think there's anybody here that does not use maybe one or two of their products on a daily basis. So in the early 2000s, A.G. Lafley, the then CEO of the company, recognized that their product development had become too focused on internal processes and engineering-driven solutions. So what he did was to then introduce a design thinking as a strategy to move the company's focus back to the consumer. So thereby encouraging his team to engage deeply with users to understand their everyday lives, pain points, and needs. So this led the company to creating what was called Clay Street Project. So what does this Clay Street Project do? It brought together a multidisciplinary innovation lab. It brought together designers, marketers, and engineers and other teams into an innovation lab. So the team then collectively used design thinking to conduct an ethnographic research, which involved observing their consumers in their homes to see how they used P&G product in real world settings. So what they did was they went to the homes of their consumers and their customers. They observed them as they performed tasks like cleaning, grooming, and cooking. So through this observation, they were able to identify unmet needs and areas for innovation that normally they wouldn't have been able to detect if they had used the traditional market research methodology. And in fact, this particular project led to the creation of what is called Tide Pod. I know for many of us in Nigeria, we might not be familiar with what Tide Pod is. So this innovation came in 2012. Yeah, 2012. As of that time, the detergent market had become very saturated with innovation. There was probably any new thing you could introduce in the market again that is unique, really. So now, through the design thinking process, P&G came up with, they were able to identify an unmet need or the frustration of their user. And the frustration was that the traditional liquid and powder detergents were messy and also, it's prone to overdosing. You can't, when you want to wash, you can't measure accurately the quantity of detergent you need, either solid or either the powder or the liquid form. So through this process, they came about this Tide Pod. The Tide Pod are like capsule. They put capsule inside a package. So for each wash, you just need to put one capsule of this Tide Pod in the washing machine. One capsule, they've measured it. So one capsule will be enough to wash a load of cloth in washing machine. And this particular innovation actually revolutionized the old detergent or laundry industry. In fact, in 2015, there was a popular social media challenge that was done on this Tide Pod, on how people were using Tide Pod, and I think they were able to sell millions of these products. Now, let's look at another company. Another company is Airbnb. Airbnb used design thinking to identify that their users were not patronizing their platform because the image quality was low. So what they did was to travel, the co-founders had to travel down to New York themselves, met with their host, took high quality and high resolution pictures and uploaded it themselves. Another company is GE Healthcare. Their story is even very funny. They had issue with their MRI machine. Children were not using the MRI machine, or it was resulting to anxiety for the MRI machine. So the designer used design thinking to identify that the machine was scary for the children. So what they did was to introduce an adventure program in the machine. While they are using the machine, they can have playful adventures like the pirate ships and the jungles. And this particular innovation solved the problem that their pediatric department was having. Another company here is PepsiCo. PepsiCo story is actually quite popular. You can read more about it, about PepsiCo, and that company is Bank of America. Bank of America, through design thinking, they realized that people were not saving as much as they wanted them to do. In fact, the saving percentage was quite low. So what they did was to introduce, through design thinking, they were able to realize that. Then they introduced Keep the Change program. So Keep the Change means you buy something, say worth of $3.50. So you for $3.50 you pay $4 instead of getting $50 50-cent change to be saved for you automatically. And with this, they were able to get millions of people to adopt the culture of saving. And of course, it's easy for the people too. I pay $4, save 50 cents for me. I don't need the change. Then the last company we will look at is Ford. Henry Ford is one of the most popular early adopters of design thinking in the process. So Ford, at the point, was able to identify that users need something in their cars. They needed a new experience. And through that, they introduced the sync in car system, which was introduced, I think, the first sync system in Ford cars was introduced in 2007. And between then till now, they are currently in Sync 4. So Sync 4 now uses machine language and artificial intelligence to give drivers intuitive communication and entertainment systems in their car. So we have a whole lot of companies, organizations that adopt design thinking. But I just need to show us how useful design thinking is, because a lot of times we just hear it, we think about it as a theoretical concept. It's not theoretical, it's actually practical. And I'm very hopeful that in no distant time, when people want to talk about organizations and companies that use design thinking to solve an existential problem, they will count Tech Mentor as one of them, because of course we will adopt design thinking in our operation. So, and another thing I want you to note is that design thinking is not only about bringing in new products. As you can see in the variety of these examples that I gave, some had to introduce new products. Some had to just change something in their product. Like PepsiCo. Now, PepsiCo had to change the formulas for their product and even had to change the packaging. So, Bank of America now, it was not really a new product. It was just a change in the way they operate. So it doesn't have to be about introducing new things, writing new code, bringing in new products. It could be that the customers want you to change something small in your product or in the way you operate. Now let's go to the 5 stages of design thinking. Design thinking has 5 stages. Actually, it depends on the school of thought you are following for design thinking. The ideal school in Stanford University actually introduced design thinking, and according to them, design thinking has 5 stages. So you might read some other work that said design thinking has 3 stages. It's still the same. Everything is the same. It's just the way it is split. Some will say investigation, ideation, and experimentation. So, but for us in this class, we'll be looking at 5 stages. And the first stage is the empathy stage. I've told you the empathy stage is actually the most important stage you need to undergo when you're bringing in a new product. So the empathy stage focuses on understanding the user and their needs. This involves observing, engaging, and empathizing with people to get a deep understanding of their experiences, emotions and challenges. We've seen an example of this with P&G that I mentioned earlier. So how do you do this? You have techniques like interviews, observations, and research that could help you to empathize. So and the second stage we will okay, at this empathy stage, let me quickly add, your goal is to truly connect with your users, and you need to see the world through their eyes. You need to put yourself in their shoe. You need to see yourself in their position. You are building something. Okay, I think someone is Ijla said is building something on Ijla, can you remind me the core offering of your product? Are you on the call? Okay, so can you talk? Oh, okay, no problem. Sorry. Okay, all right. Let me go to Israel then. Ejo Israel, from the pitch you sent, you said you're developing something relating to, I think, a payment system. Are you on the call?
Yeah, I'm on the call, but well, I've changed the idea though. I sent a new
Okay.
pitch video and
Okay, yeah,
but
I watched your new pitch. I'm trying to remember what it's all about. What was it all about?
it's an AI detection system.
AI. Okay, yeah, that's true. It's an AI detection system. So now, have you imagined yourself as a user of your product before,
Yeah, of
or
course.
you just? Hmm?
Yeah, I have. I've
Yeah,
imagined
right. Okay, you've imagined yourself. Then don't worry. We'll know as we move forward now if you've actually imagined yourself. So thank you. So the next stage is after you've empathized, you've been able to deduce what the pain point or the need of your users are. The next stage is define. At this stage, you have to frame the user's needs and pain points into a problem statement. This stage, the problem statement should focus on the user rather than the company's need. Okay, let me give you an example of a problem statement focusing on the company's need. For example, we need to improve our product sales. That's company-focused problem statement. That's your company's problem, not the user's problem. But if you say rather that, how might we make our product more accessible and enjoyable for the users? So if you frame it to focus on the user, you would be able to get maybe why you're not having sales, why users are rejecting your product. But if you frame it like we need to improve our product sales, every of the solution you come up with might be focused on your company. Remember, you are not buying the product yourself. You are producing it for people to use. So if you are offering solution to people, then your problem statement should focus on them, not on you. Because if you serve them well, the ripple effect will be on you. So now, at this stage, after empathizing with them, you clearly now put their problem into a clear problem of statement. Then, after you've put it into a clear problem of statement, the next step is you ideate. You have identified what is accessible. So the ideate phase is where creativity comes into play. Yeah, a wide range of ideas will be generated to address the defined problem. Now, at this stage, the aim is to think broadly and explore multiple solutions. Basically, at this stage, every idea is a good idea. In fact, Steve Jobs that was popularly quoted to have said the best way to have a good idea is to have many ideas. So at the ideation phase, you gather as many ideas as possible: stupid, not stupid, viable, not viable, feasible, not feasible. An idea at this stage is an idea. the most important thing is you get the idea, and the more the merrier, so they say. So at this stage, you need to encourage out of the box thinking. So, and then this is where you brainstorm, you brainwrite, you also do kind of dot voting. We'll look at the methodologies in the subsequent slide. Then the next stage is prototyping. You have ideated, you've been able to get plenty ideas, and you have streamlined the ideas to once you think will meet your user needs. Remember, fulfill the three components I discussed earlier: technological capabilities or possibilities, user needs, and market viability. So after getting a whole lot of ideas, you've evaluated them, you've also prioritized them to see which one is meet the user needs, which one is viable in terms of business-wide terms, and which one is incorporating technical possibilities, or you have the technology for. So once you've been able to identify those ones, maybe you have 10 ideas. At the time you have streamlined, you'll be left with maybe 2 or 1 idea. Then you go to prototyping. So once the prototype phase involves you creating a simplified versions of the solutions in order for you to explore how they might work. For us that are developers already, you know what prototype means. So prototypes can be anything from physical models to digital mock-ups, depending on maybe it's a product or service. So the key here is to create something tangible and quick, allowing you to experiment and test the different aspects of the design. So prototyping is basically all about learning through doing. So testing out ideas and identifying what works and what doesn't work. So then the last phase in the process is the test phase. So at this point, you have prototyped, you have created prototypes of the ideas you generated, then you test. So what do you do at the test phase? You put the product into the users, and of course, for many of us, we've seen big companies testing their ideas through a beta process. They call testers. They have testers that test. They have different stages of testing, depending on how big you are. You have in-house testers, you have outside testers. After then, you now have beta testers, where you actually give the users to test in a beta phase before now fully implementing the product. So at this stage, you test how good is this product. So testing may reveal unexpected insights, showing part of the solution that maybe need improvement, or even suggesting a return to earlier stages for further iteration. Maybe after you test it, you realize that this product is actually not meeting the user's needs. Then you go back and you go back to your solution. Maybe you need to go back and empathize again, or go back and redefine what the problem is, or go back to ideate again. So the good thing here is that these all stages, they are iterative. Like, you have to be doing them over and over again. You could test and go back to define. You could prototype and go back to empathize. It's iterative. It's something you do over and over and over again. So let's move forward now to empathy. Like I said, is the first stage. So this is actually the most important, very fundamental to design thinking, because this is where you actually uncover the user's needs. This is where you know the user's pain point. This is where you realize what they are going through, and you then, based on whatever insight you get, frame your problem statement. So now the first step, and one of the most important, is this stage. So let me ask us a question. I want 3 people to respond. Have you tried to solve a problem for someone before? Maybe a friend, a colleague, and then you realize that the solution did not quite work well for them after you've put in a whole lot of effort into developing the solution. I want 3 people to raise your hand so that you can talk. Please, can you indicate if it has happened to you before? You tried to solve a problem. Okay, I think I'm getting. So, Janet, can you help me take note of people who are raising their hands? Janet, are you there? Okay. Hello? Janet, okay. Ayomide, are you there?
Okay, so we have AJ Israel raised this. Hi, Israel, can you hear us?
Yeah.
Let's hear from you.
Okay. So my experience is that somebody actually reached out to say he's an entrepreneur that wants me to help him work on the video editor site project he's working on. So
Okay.
I thought it's something, something easy I can help him work it out. But it's actually a website. So
Okay.
I started helping him out. For the first day, he was actually using something I've not worked with before. So, as programmers, we do learn every day. So I was researching about the tools and the language I wanted to use for it. So after getting a little knowledge of it, started implementing it day and night. The next day, there was no outcome, and he was like insisting all the time that haven't I, find something like haven't I seen an outcome? Haven't I been able to do the video editing software? I like it's not something easy that you have to be patient, something that can take 1 week plus. And he was so hasty, and so at the end I left him. I told him I can't continue. There's too much pressure, so he doesn't have patience. So that was my experience.
Okay. Yeah. So what actually would you think went wrong there?
I think his lack of patience, and he wasn't he's not a programmer. He could have been a programmer. He would have understood issue I was facing. So
Exactly. This is okay.
yeah,
Let me chip in something here. This is exactly why we're having this class. Your whatever product you are building, people that will use it are not programmers. They don't know how programming works. They don't care how programming works. They just want the product. So, and when product doesn't work, you don't blame the user. You blame yourself as the one offering the product. Okay? Don't cultivate the habit of course, I know that clients have issues. They have a whole lot of issues. But when a product does not work, it's not the fault of the user. When I'm supposed to use a particular functionality on a product and I can use the functionality, it's as a user, it's not my problem. It is the fault of whoever the developer or whoever the company that offers the solution is. And that's why you see that even big companies now, they have fora, they have tutorials, even WhatsApp. Before, when WhatsApp drops an update, you wouldn't know until maybe you talk to someone or you just magically see. But now, immediately they drop an update, they start bombarding you with messages. Okay, so that's one thing. I think later we'll still address that. But when a product does not work, it is not the fault of the user. Maybe you could have empathized more with the user. You could have asked more questions. You could have tried to maybe understand what the user needs. Perhaps it couldn't have even required you to develop a new product or use a new stack for the this. I don't have a full understanding or knowledge of what happened, but I'm sure if you had empathized further with the client, you'd have been able to come to perhaps a simpler solution or a more straightforward solution. That's it. So do we have one more person that has experienced something like this?
I think
Janet,
Isla's hands was raised. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear
Yeah,
you.
so
Hi. Okay, Ijla was raising his hands previously. Hi, Ijla, can you hear us?
yeah, I can hear
Let's
you.
hear your question.
So
You
actually,
can
I
speak.
had
You can type your question.
no, it's okay. So actually, once my friend had a flat tire, and it was really late at night, and he called me for help. And when we tried to like jack the tire and try to fix it, even the jack got stuck. And we even watched YouTube tutorials. It was about 4 a.m. at night, and we were watching tutorials and trying to fix the like flat tire. But eventually we failed, and we had to call the help, the proper work man for the work to help us. So it was
Oh,
actually one thing
yes.
that we tried, but we failed.
So, what do you think went wrong?
I think right people for the right job is the best solution here. If you are not qualified, if you think you can do it, maybe it's better to ask for help. Especially it was when it was really this late at night. It was about 4 a.m. And about 4 a.m. streets are not very safe here. So I think we should have called for the professionals sooner.
Mm, mm. Okay, that's another perspective. I think also if you had asked more questions about the project, you would have been able to get an idea on should I call a professional or should I call someone that is more versed in this maybe stack or technology, or should I recommend a better technology? In fact, let me give you an analogy. There's an analogy I always use. If someone comes to you that is hungry, if someone comes to you that I'm hungry and you give the person food, you say, okay, I'm hungry, and the next thing you did was to just give the person food. There's every possibility that the person will come back tomorrow because he or she would eat the food, digest it, and get hungry again. Now imagine that someone comes to you that give me food, and you ask the person why, and he said, I'm hungry. Oh, don't you have a job? Okay, because I don't have money, rather. Okay, why don't you have money? Did you lose money? Did you maybe invest money in something and said, sorry, I don't have a job? Okay, okay. So why don't you have a job? Oh, well, I was laid off at my work or something. Okay, why were you laid off? You know, by the time you dig deep, in fact, let me take an example of analogy Justin Farrell of Stanford University said. He said, when you ask people why 5 times, there's every possibility they they burst into cry. Why did and like, yeah, you understand? So when someone comes to you, I'm hungry, and you ask, by the time you ask the question iteratively like 5 times, you would be able to decipher that, oh, this person does not have a job and has a university certificate or has a skill in maybe can write, do content writing. Oh, fine. Instead of giving you money for food, I can give you a gig. And by that, you would have solved the problem from the roots. And I can assure you that tomorrow the person will not come back again. So that is the whole essence of empathizing with your users when you are introducing a new product. It's not just about earning them. If I will still give us an analogy. Oftentimes when clients or users come to you, they don't know what they need. They don't know what they need. They know what they want, but they don't know what they need. So you as a professional are the one that needs to investigate further and actually identify what they need. The example of P&G I gave earlier, the users ordinarily did not know that they needed a capsule detergent. They only knew that the current version of detergent, liquid and powder detergent, was messy and wasteful. But ordinarily from their head, they don't know they can have it in capsule form until P&G did their research, understand their users, and as a professional came out with a unique solution that solved the problem. So at this stage, you need to actually understand, dig deep into what your users want. In fact, if you conduct this stage very well, you even understand some things that they could not reveal to you. So sometimes we as solution providers, or especially it's common to us as technical people, we just jump straight into providing solutions without fully understanding the person's situation. So for me that work in the private sector, when I first got to my role, I was so, buffed up, I know Excel very well. I can write VBA codes I enjoy writing VBA codes a lot. So anytime people come with a problem, I need this template. The next thing, bam, I started writing VBA code. And luckily for me, at a point, ChatGPT came. It became so easy for me to write VBA codes because I can just put my prompt, generate my codes, put the template together, and send it to them. So keep writing VBA for every damn problem that comes my way. I write VBA codes. Then I realized that people use my tool, and after like the first or second time, they don't use it again. So I now have to come back, calm down, and do a kind of retrospection. And then I know that it's not every. In fact, now before I write VBA codes, I would have been sure that I've exhausted every possibility of using maybe Excel formula before I create any visual for you, or before I translate any report to Power BI. I would be very sure that yes, you actually need the report in Power BI. If you need it in Excel, I will not do Power BI. If you need it in PowerPoint, I will not do Power BI. So this is an important step as solution providers that we always miss. We just impose our solutions on our users because fine, we have the technical capability, or sometimes we want to learn new things. Yeah, someone comes, please, I need this report. Oh, I can use Tableau. Oh, let me try it. Oh, let me try SQL. Let me try Python. And often they don't need it. Fine, it's good, but they don't need it. So now, how do you actually empathize with your users? Instead of just only asking them what they want, which might not give you the full picture, you need to immerse yourself into their world. That was why I asked Israel earlier that has he ever pictured himself in his user's position of someone that wants to use AI to detect, I think, plagiarism, or that needs an AI detection tool. Have you done that before? Of course, when you are doing this, you don't take a biased position. You need to get an actual user and interview them. As you hear them talk, then you picture yourself in their position. So you observe their behaviors, talk to them, and most importantly, listen to them. I mentioned it earlier that oftentimes your users don't know what they need, but they know what they want. Henry Ford was quoted to have said that if he had asked people what they needed, then they would have said they needed a faster horse. It was at a point where cars, something that looked like a car, were only used for by the military, or for industrial purposes. So people were riding horse, they were used to their horses. And then Henry Ford came with an idea of a commercial car. So if he had gone to the people and asked them what they needed, they would have said they needed a faster horse, because they didn't have an idea that something like a car could come. So I'm sure pre-2020 thereabout, if they asked all of us what we needed in maybe computing, the world of computing, would have said we needed maybe a faster browser, would have said we needed 7G. And then the world changed. We had generative AI. So as a solution provider, you observe your users to understand their need through their want. They most likely, when you interact with them, what they tell you is their want. But you observe them, the behaviors, the way they talk, listen to them, put yourself in their shoe to actually understand what they need. Empathy isn't just about gathering surface level. How many times you eat in a day? What's your age? Which school did you go to? It's not about gathering the surface level data. It's about gaining deep insight into their emotions, their motivations, and most importantly, their pain points. For example, you are designing a new product for elderly users. It will not be enough to just ask them about what they want or their needs. Of course, you might not get a good picture of what you need to provide for them. You will want to spend time with them, observe how they interact with similar products, or even watch them use everyday objects. Maybe you will notice something they're struggling with. Maybe they are struggling with packaging or struggling with finding buttons on devices, to press. So these little seemingly insignificant things that users themselves might not even realize, but can have impact, a very, very, very big impact on the solution you are creating. So now techniques, interviews, surveys, and observations are the most important techniques you use in empathy. You do interview, you talk to them. It could be a structured interview, it could be a semi-structured interview, but most times you do a semi-structured interview. Surveys, you could share survey, even though survey will most likely just get you surface level data, but it's still part of it. Then observation, just like P&G did. You go there, observe them, watch them as they do it. Then after you've done this, you create an empathy map. So an empathy map is like a 4-quadrant box. In a box, you put a summary of what your users feel, what they say. In another quadrant, you put what they think. In another quadrant, you put what they do, and another quadrant, you put what they feel. With that, you'll be able to visualize who your users are. Okay, are we still with me? So can someone talk?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, well, you
Okay.
with you.
Okay, so as we are progressing, I want you to put on the chat box maybe an important point you've gotten so far. Just put it on the chat box. Let's see. Let's learn briefly from each other. An important point you've learned so far. Can you put it on the chat box? I'm waiting. Still waiting. Jenna, do we have any message on the chat box?
Yes, there's a message from, I'm trying to check his name. Joel. He was asking if the answers must be tech related or otherwise. Hi, Joel. Are you still on the call?
If the answers must be
Tech related. You asked a question previously and he was asking if it has to, I think he's in the empathy phase. Maybe asking a question and he asked if it has to be. Okay, so he said he's satisfied now. Thank you, Joel. So you can just move on.
Okay. Yeah. No, before we move on, I want each and every one of you to just type something important you've gotten so far. Something important you've gotten so far. Just summarize it. Something important you've gotten so far. So, Jenna, let me know how many responses we have. So it's important. I know that we're following and we're not just doing this.
Okay, I think I got a response from Right. Can you hear me?
Yeah, no problem. Just let me know as the
okay, someone said understand and study user feedbacks. Another person said know what your users want. Another person said using it is most important. Yes, using it is most important. I think that's all for now.
Okay, I hope we get as many responses as possible. So let's move forward. Now we move to the second stage, which is the definition stage. You remember we've, like I said, we've identified our user's pain point. Now we now define it into a problem statement. So this is where you take everything you've learned and you clearly articulate the problem you're trying to solve. So it's not only important you know what they need or create an empathy map, you have to put it into a simple problem statement. That was in the hackathon I told you I participated in years back. That was where we missed it. We were not able to clearly articulate or define the problem we were solving, even though we had a great product. But to bring in the problem was a big issue for us. So it's crucial, because if you don't get the problem right, the solutions you develop might later not hit the mark or satisfy the user's needs. The goal here is to ensure that everybody in your team, they are aligned on what the problem is. So, and how do we do that? We have, I'm recommending 3 ways. The first one is point of view statement. The second one is how might we questions. And the third one is problem tree analysis. So the point of view statement is a concise structure statement that helps you frame the problem from the user's perspective. The structure looks like, for something, for example, user needs something because of this. So for example, you are designing a better onboarding experience for new users on your app. You could say new users need a simpler, more intuitive way to navigate the app because they feel often overwhelmed by the current setup. That's a problem statement. But that looks very far. That looks very complex. It's not complex though. It's still within the structure of user need what they need because why do they need it? So now say for example, we want to provide water for the local community. You can say community A. Now, another thing I need to point out in your problem definition is that you don't generalize users. You don't say people. You should know that whatever product you are bringing into the market has target users. So if by now your product, you don't have a target user, a specified target user, then you need to go back to the problem definition. So you don't say users, you don't say people. So we want to frame a problem statement now. Community A needs a good source of water because it could be because the current source is bad. It could be because the current source is far. It could be because there's even no source of water. Now, let's go back to your product. I can see Clementina here. Clementina, you brought a product to solve a donation issue for organizations, big organizations, donor agencies, and beneficiaries. So briefly, in, should I say 10 seconds, Clementina, are you on the call? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm following.
Okay, so from your product now, can you frame a problem statement based on the explanation I've given? User, their needs, and why?
Yeah, sure. Number 1,
Okay.
users. Okay, our primary users would be the donors, right? And then secondary users would be the.
I just want you to frame a problem. We are not.
Okay, so in that, I will just say I'll
just
go with the initial problem statement on vulnerable organizations or community in Africa struggling for basic needs like food, shelter, education, healthcare.
No, I want you to frame a problem statement based on your solution. Now, you are creating a product, right? So did you hear the sample I gave? Structure, user, like community A needs a source of water because their current source of water is far, something like that. So donor agencies need.
Okay, I think I get your point.
Something like that. Can you frame your solution in that manner?
Okay, sure. So I would just say
Okay.
vulnerable communities need a solution for them to access food, healthcare, or more funds from donors in a very transparent way.
Okay. What would you say is the because? Because why? Is it that they don't have a platform they are using currently, or is it that the current
Because
platform is
the current solution lacks transparency, and there is misuse of fund and what's the name oh sorry, I'm trying to get the right word. Misuse of fund and lack of few audience reach, let me put it that way.
okay? Oh, thank you. Actually, fine, this is a workshop. But we're not like maybe analyzing each other's solution now. But if we were having a kind of should I say in-person workshop, I would have asked all of you to do an exercise. You frame the problem statement of your solution and every other person evaluate it. Now, if I say something like donor or vulnerable communities need to access maybe opportunities of funding because the current source is not reliable. That's a problem statement. That's a very good problem statement. If I put that problem statement to each and every one of you on this call, I'm sure you all will recommend different solutions. Why? Because firstly, you understand the problem differently. In fact, I'm sure there are people here that will not even recommend coming up with any products, because the way they understand it is different. Some will say, let us set up a group that monitors maybe the disbursement of the funds or something like that. So that is why it is important you go back for the solution you are currently developing. Sit back and look at it and develop a clear problem statement. A clear problem statement such that when you answer the question, you will know within yourself that my solution is actually answering this question. Now, if we say vulnerable people need to access a donor platform because the current platform is not transparent, then you ask yourself, this thing I'm developing, does it answer that question? Are we getting it? Let me see your reaction if you are understanding the concept. I'm not seeing any reaction yet. Okay. Now, the second thing you could, second technique you can adopt is the how might we questions. So, how might we solve the problem of lack of transparency for donor agencies and vulnerable communities? That's another question. Then when you ask that question, when you frame that question, match it with your answer. The solution you are bringing in, does it answer that? And the third technique is problem tree analysis. So you see a problem, you treat the problem like just like a tree. Then you investigate the root causes of the problem. For one of the potent tools for root cause analysis, I do a lot of root cause analysis on my job, and I've learned that you have a lot of theoretical frameworks, but the 5 why method is actually a very, very good methodology. Ask people by 5 times, and just like just said, in my life, I just get frustrated. Why are you asking me? Say why? Because by the time you keep asking them, it's either they realize that they don't even need that solution in the first place, or they don't have any good justification for the solution. And that is why oftentimes many of us, when we are pursuing maybe an opportunity and it comes to writing about that opportunity, you get disinterested because you realize that the whole idea is in your head, but when you put it down, it's not making sense. So now after either you draft the point of view question statement or the have my tweet question, or you treat it as a problem tree, identify the root cause, identify the branches. So by mapping out these elements, you can better understand the core issues you need to tackle. So this analysis is helpful in making sure that you are addressing the right problem, not just the symptoms, but the actual root cause of the problem. Now, let's do a quick brain teaser again. Now, I will call. Should I? Okay, just you help me call someone randomly. Please call someone randomly out. I want to ask something. Someone that has not talked before. Are you there?
Hi, I'm not sure I got what you said. My network is kind of breaking in.
And call someone out randomly. I want someone to talk. So just call someone randomly. Someone that has not spoken today. Did you get me?
Oh.
Hello, Janet, are you there? Okay.
Okay, hi. I'm trying to turn through the group. Hi, Samuel. Can you hear us? Hi, Samuel. Okay, can we have Victor? Hi, okay.
Hello, is my network?
I think the next is affecting everyone, or maybe they're not ready to speak.
Okay.
I'm just trying to. Hi, Victor. Hi, Victor. Yes.
Okay,
Thank you to be here.
Okay. Let's move forward. Actually, if I ask any one of us here to describe what is here, I'm sure we all have different opinions about what we see. But generally, everybody can see books, can see shelf, a small boy trying to pick a book from a shelf. So if I ask us now, what do you think this boy needs? And I'm quite sure that we all have different opinions of what the boy needs. Some of you might say he wants to pick a book, so we should help him pick a book. Some might say give him a chair or a wedge. Some might say maybe rearrange the books. It depends. So that is exactly how it looks like when you don't properly analyze the problem or you don't properly define it. So as you move to the next thing, which is the ideation, the understanding of the problem might help you know what this boy actually needs. So just mere looking at this picture is not enough for you to determine what he actually needs, and through that provide the next solution. Say, for example, you provide a chair for him to pick the book. What happens when next he wants to pick another book where it is higher than this place? Does that mean you have to provide another chair? So, and that is what I was talking about when I said I'm coming. That you need to identify the actual root cause of the problem. So the next stage is idea generation. So remember, you have defined what the problem is. Either you use how might we question, the point of view, the how might we question, and or maybe you use problem tree analysis. Now you define what the problem is, then you generate the problem. So this is where you generate. You have brainstorming technique as the most potent technique here. So on brainstorming, the key is that no idea is too wild or off field. Like I said, quantity is more important than quality. So you let people come up and tell you what they see, what they think, your team, what they think about the problem, what solution you think should be generated. Then another one is brainwriting. Brainwriting is when you ask everybody in your team to write down their ideas instead of saying it out. Write down the ideas, then generate, and you distribute it among the other team. Then ways of encouraging creative thinking. You can have divergent thinking. Divergent thinking is when you allow many solutions. Then mind mapping. Mind mapping is a visual tool that used to put the problem in the middle, then do a kind of branch out of solutions that connect to it. Then role playing. Role playing is to allow each of your team members or your selected team members to assume the position of the user. Then you start generating ideas from there. Then prioritizing ideas. You know, when you're generating ideas, it's possible you also generate as many ideas as possible. Then, like I said, that how you can now streamline your idea is using either dot voting or feasibilities versus impact matrix. Dot voting is when you write all those ideas you have generated, maybe put them in a box or put them in put them to vote basically. Then you ask each of your team members to be voting for the idea they think is the best. So the idea that gets the highest votes becomes the idea that you adopt. You know, as they popularly say, the voice of men is the voice of God. So another is feasibility versus impact matrix. So you can draw a graph, put your feasibility on the horizontal axis, impact matrix on the vertical axis. Then you start putting the idea, which has low feasibility, high impact, or high visibility, high impact, or low feasibility, low impact. You know, you arrange them like that, you're able to select which one you should go for. Next stage is prototyping. At this stage, you've generated the idea, you streamline the idea, and you've prioritized the idea. You know what you want to do. Then you develop, you prototype, you build a low fidelity copy of the solution you are trying to provide. It could be maybe a paper solution, something inexpensive, something not wasting time, something very straightforward. Then from there you go to tests. Remember, you have prototypes, you have gotten feedback, and from feedback you now use it to develop a real solution, then you test it. So the component of the testing here is that feedback. So you get feedback to enable you improve on maybe the design, the usability. Then also it's a continuous process. It's a loop, as you can see, a loop. So you refine the prototype based on the feedback over and over and over again. Then the last one is it's better you fail. You fail faster and fail earlier. So testing uncovers a lot of loopholes, failure on your design, and at this stage, it's good you fail here so that you not fail at the deployment stage. So at the full deployment stage. So now, the last part of the training here. Successfully integrating design thinking to your project, you know, involves collaborative. Of course, you have to collaborate a lot, and also, like I said earlier, it is a user-centered approach. It ensures that whatever solution you are bringing in actually serves your users. It is solving a concrete problem for your user. It is not satisfying your own cravings. Oftentimes, as developers, we just want to satisfy our own cravings. You just want to put the new technology in there to use. The product you are bringing in is for your users, satisfying their users. And another thing I wanted to show us is to let us realize that this thing cannot sequential as I'm discussing. They can happen in any order. We can empathize and go to prototyping. In fact, just like many of you already have your product already now, you have a prototype already. You can go back and empathize and then define. So it doesn't mean that you have to follow from empathy, definition, ideation, prototyping, and testing. anyhow, like it will happen anyhow, just make sure every of these is involved in your product development process. And then with this, we'll come to the end of this class. I will now give the mic to Janet, if there's any question from you or clarification. So thank you. Hello, Janet, are you on the call?
Hi, Olumide. Yes,
Okay,
I'm
yeah, so I'm done. So I'm giving the mic to you. Maybe a question or maybe clarification.
okay. Thank you, Olumide, for the session. It's been a wonderful session. I must commend. Thank you for dishing out value to us, and I believe everyone on this call has actually gotten one or two things. So you can just react on the comment section with emojis. If this session was really impactful, if you've gotten one or two things, just react while we continue. Okay, thank you. Drop your emojis for Israel and everything. So before we close for the day, there are attention to. One of it is, this is our last workshop for this hackathon program, which is coming to an end this Saturday with a grand finale and award giving ceremony to the best and outstanding project and participant. And I am excited. Now we are close to the end, and I can't wait to see the amazing project we've built so far. Yes, I can't wait to see how we impact our communities with this amazing project and the rest. So, like we said from the beginning of the program, during the onboarding, there are terms and conditions you need to abide by if you must be on the program. And part of which was for you to follow us on a social media handle to ensure you join a community. You cannot just be on this space and then you're not part of the community and do things. Also, you are to be in a team. If you're yet to get a team, it's still not too late. There are people on the community that are looking for people to join their team. You can do that. You don't want to stay here in vacuum and watch people go home with the prizes without you getting anything. So I think a day, 2 days ago or yesterday, a survey link was sent to your email. Please ensure you fill out the survey link. And after this call, you're going to receive an email with the submission form with details of, it's your team details. Please ensure you fill in the correct details, because if you fill the wrong details, anything on like missing fund or whatever will not be held responsible. Please ensure you fill out the right details, the correct and complete details on the form. And don't forget, please fill out the survey form. And it's really not encouraging from our community engagement. If you have any challenge, that's why we have a community. If it's on your integration and your building process, you can always reach out. We have things on Grada available for mentorship and support, technical support. Actually, if you need anything, you can always reach out. The community is there for you. The community is there for you to make use of it. So don't just stay and seclude yourself from it. Please ensure you engage. And while you build, please stick to the problem statement that is on the project overview document that has been shared on the community too. Register your team if you're yet to do that. I don't know if these are too much or if I'm too fast. Please register your team if you're yet to do so. Fill out the form. Follow us on the social media handle. The links have been sent to your emails. And the submission deadline for the project is by Friday, 4 p.m. on the 27th, 4 p.m. Right? Am I correct? I'm trying to ensure that I get it right. The submission deadline, just hold on. Let me confirm. So ensure you meet the deadline for the submission. There is nothing like no excuse for you to submit your program very late or after the deadline. It's part of the disqualifying thing for your team if your program is submitted after the time that has been, and the form might even get closed after that time. So you need to submit. Why you can submit your program while you still work on any modification that needs to be done. That all this stuff. Please ensure you submit your project before the deadline or not before the deadline. There will not be room for late submission. So get your team together, put in your best, and let's do this. And always remember why you started. So I'm just trying to confirm the submission. Okay, I have some hands raised. Hi, Victor, your hand was raised. Do you have any question for us?
No, it's a mistake, ma.
Okay. Hi, Israel.
Yeah, Ma, you said Friday deadline. I thought it's Saturday.
Yeah, Friday 4 p.m. That's I'm trying. The dates were kind of confusing for me, so I'm just trying to confirm.
It's 28th.
So
right?
Friday 4 p.m.
Okay. Yeah.
Sorry,
Today is Wednesday.
27th submission is 27th September. That's Friday.
Okay, then the grand finale.
That's Friday 4 p.m. 27th. Yes, for submission. The grand finale is on the 28th. That's Saturday at 4 p.m. too. The meeting link is already scheduled on your calendar. You can share with your friends and families if you want them to see your project and how you present. You can invite people for the grand finale. It's actually open to everyone. So the link has been scheduled on your calendar, so you can access it from there. Are we cool on that? Are we all clear? Or do I need to reiterate?
Yeah, I'm clear with that.
Okay. Any more question? Okay, I think that's all. I mean, do you have anything else for us before we call it today?
No, I don't have anything.
Okay, thank you very much, and thank you everyone for joining today's session. Like we said, this is the last session of the workshop, so the next we'll be meeting it for the grand finale. But that doesn't mean you can't reach out to us on the community or personally if you have any question or any challenge concerning the hackathon. And that being said, ensure you fill out the survey form and the submission form will be sent out. Please be on the lookout for your email, your inbox, and any other thing, so you don't get carried away and it's not going to be worth it after you built and you're not it. And let's fix the eyes on the price. Thank you very much. Okay, what about those that haven't gotten a team yet? You can still form a team. I'll be sending those messages on the community. If you've not gotten a team, indicate. The thing is, like we've been singing to our ears, it's not compulsory that you build a full-fledged project. Just get started, work on the MVP. In a day or two, you can come up with something. Even if it's just the prototype, it's okay. But make sure you do something. Get a team. There are people that are looking for people to join team. Indicate that you need a team. If you even indicate, you can indicate on the community. I have some persons that are still looking for their team to be complete. I can just merge you with those persons. Indicate on the community that you need a team. The thing is not for you to build a complete project. It's just for us to see how you can bring an idea to life and what you can come up with a short time. Nobody is expecting you to be a completely running project within the space of 2 weeks or even less. So just get your hair steady and do something. I don't know if we're fine with that. Hi, Victor. Is that okay?
Yes, you've answered my question. Thank you very much.
Okay. Shola, thank you too. So that brings us to the end of the call. Have a lovely evening, everyone. Do enjoy your evening, and let's get back to building. And yes, have a great evening ahead. Bye.